Gobi was a big place, and who knew what you could find in those flat-topped scarps which rose like a child's blocks out of the gravelly waste. 2 days later, I was on my way. Thanks to Charlie, I had a letter to the Prince of East Sung, a man very influential in the country, and I anticipated no difficulties. You see, simple fool that I am, I thought that there would be gold up there, and if there was, what would hinder my scouting around, finding it, and staking out a claim? I had a small gasoline-driven dry panner with which to test those gravelly washes where no water ever flowed. Gold is a driving force. It had taken me on a wild trek through the country of the ancient Mayas until the Yucatan Indians had driven me out. It had taken me through the upper forgotten mountains of Ecuador and through the endless wilderness of northern Canada. I knew gold, but little else. I had a degree in mining, but the soberer jobs left me cold. I always managed to make my stake and keep going. Nothing terribly rich, but enough. A mining engineer, when he takes the prospector's trail, doesn't experience very much difficulty. He can pass the old sourdoughs with their odd ideas, and he can guess at things the so-called practical miner never suspects exist. Young and confident, full of plans and enthusiasm, I arrived at the palace of the Prince of East Sung. The place was imposing, as yellow as the Great Plains and the Golden Mountains, built like a fort, ancient beyond the count of years. You had the impression of frowning dignity. At the gate I was met by a cavalry officer, a fellow who bulked in his bursting furs like some overstuffed sack, and whose head sat upon that mountain of flesh like some pagoda upon a mountain peak. He was slit-eyed, well-greased, yellow, and watchful. His fingers itched for the bribe I gave him. His name was Yang Tang, a crazy sing-song thing. He escorted me into the presence of the prince. The Prince of East Sung was a very young man with a smooth yellow complexion, more Chinese than Mongol. He wore a beautifully embroidered blue gown and a small round cap and a pair of cavalry boots with golden spurs. He leaned back in his massive blackwood chair as though too weary to even think about moving.
"You have come,"
he said in a bored voice,
"for my protection. You cannot have it."
I had not spoken, and his refusal of a request I had not thought to make took me off balance.
"I am here,"
he continued in Oxford English,
"because my ancestors were here, but my subjects desert me and join me at will. I have a personal bodyguard, but the cavalry you have seen is not mine. The cavalry only wishes my protection for the moment, and attaches allegiance to me only as long as they think they need my support. So do not ask for aid, Tuki."
He was not being encouraging. He had called me foreign dog, but it sounded so odd, those drawling broad A's coming from that mouth, I could not help but smile. So do not ask for aid. From my pocket, I produced $100 in Bank of Taiwan notes. I laid it respectfully upon the dais. He glanced at it, and then at the captain who had brought me in. The captain was licking fitfully at his gross lips.
"That is better. Since you request nothing, I will give you the escort. The country, I might add, is dangerous. But what do you want? Old bones?"
Incautiously, I said, "Gold." He sat up stiff as a poker, staring.
"Gold? Here in Mongolia? Toki, you are a fool among fools. Go back to Peking and forget about this thing."
"No, you do not understand," I insisted. "I merely wish to try out the old stream beds of the region, to prospect that which has not been touched before. I take no wealth from the people, but from the land where it has lain forgotten."
"Escort him out, Yang Tang,"
said the prince with a disgusted wave of his hand.
"Think well about this, Tuki, or you may find gold."
That was not encouragement, as I found out later. That